What is up, everyone? Welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the best players from preseason so far, like the players who have been performing well in preseason so far. We're going to be looking at each and every single team so far. I've created a watch list, as you can see from here on the side. It's a watch list of all the players that I think have done well. To be honest, this video I should have just called it the best cheap players from preseason so far, because almost every single midfielder and even a lot of the defenders all are extremely cheap. 4.5, 6.5, 5.5. That's basically the price range. The only reason I haven't called it that is because I've got Gabriel Jesus, Isak, and Haaland as well. Spoiler alert. In this list, but we're going to go through every single team. If you are new, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're closing in on 800 subscribers. We are very close, about 10 to 11 subscribers away. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you are new, and let me know if you have any of these players that I'm about to mention in your team right now. Having said all of that, let's get straight in the video. All right, let's start with Arsenal. Now, from Arsenal, the best player that I had monitored was Gabriel Jesus. He has, so far, he's got in terms of minutes, he's played 60 minutes, 28 minutes, and then 71 minutes in the last game against Manchester United. And he's also got 2 goals and 1 assist so far. So, one to keep an eye out for. Will Kai Havertz probably start over him before the season starts? That's one thing we kind of have to monitor and see. Kai Havertz obviously came off the pitch to have about 19 minutes against Manchester United. And obviously Arsenal have a few good friendlies upcoming in the next couple of days as well. So we want to monitor so far. But so far, I'm been interested from Arsenal. Just Gabriel Jesus has been the one who has stood out for me. Defensively, I haven't really added anyone because there are a few players that are still, like, most of their main players are still slightly missing. Obviously, Ben White is playing, but he's been playing centre back as well. So keep an eye out for. I'll let you know once like Arsenal's defense kind of settles. There's room, like the California signing and all of that. We need to kind of wait and see how Arsenal's backline will be. Also, with the opening set of fixtures, I'm not too interested in Arsenal defense. I think you can wait. Someone else I probably should add to this watch list would be Julian Timber, who's been playing a couple games so far in the absence of some of the other defenders. Although we'll have to wait and see whether he will actually start that opening season as well. We'll have to wait and see whether he's going to be playing the opening set of games. So far, he's got 45 minutes, 62 minutes, and 63 minutes in the last 3 games in preseason. So keep an eye out for that. That's Arsenal for me. Let's move over to Aston Villa. Now, from Aston Villa, I've marked 2 players on my watch list, and that is Morgan Rogers at 5 million. He's got 3 goals and 1 assist so far. Aston Villa mainly they've had 2 games where players got 45 minutes each, and then in the third game, the last one they played, a few players got 63 minutes. The max, which was Morgan Rogers, was one of them. So he looks like one of the first names on the team sheet for Aston Villa. We can actually go and look at Aston Villa on SofaScore as well, which I'm going to try and do here to kind of show where they're most likely playing. Now, the only problem with Aston Villa on SofaScore, I don't think this is the accurate formation. I do believe Rogers is a bit more active, so keep an eye out. Hopefully we might get like a better formation / average lineups on SofaScore. But Morgan Rogers is one. And the other player I'm interested with is Leon Bailey. Now that Moussa Diaby has left, Leon Bailey is a nice option as well. A goal and assist so far for Aston Villa during preseason. Again, he was also one of those players who got like more minutes in the third game alongside Morgan Rogers. So keep an eye out for these 2 players. The others, obviously, the likes of Watkins and all, Konsa, who you might see in a lot of drafts, they haven't started preseason yet because of how long they went into the Euros. So I'm not going to mention those players, even though they might look obvious, because they haven't played preseason so far. So those are my 2 players from Aston Villa for the moment. let's move over to Bournemouth. I don't really have anyone for Bournemouth. And I'm also not interested with their opening set of fixtures as well, to be honest. So yeah, no one for Bournemouth. Next up, Brentford. Now, Brentford, Brian Embuemo, I didn't add into the watch list. And the reason I didn't add into the watch list was I want to see a bit more in terms of preseason games from Brentford in general. But Embuemo has got 2 goals so far. Uh, the only reason I haven't added to the watch list is because there's a bit uncertainty in terms of is he taking penalties? Is Ivan Toney going to be taking penalties when he's back? Bit of uncertainty. Maybe next week when we do this video again, we'll see whether Brian Embuemo makes the watch list or not. But yeah, 2 goals so far for him. And obviously with their star new signing striker out injured, we kind of had to wait and see. But yeah, that's for Brentford. Brighton. Now, Brighton, I did add a couple players. And I'm probably moving to the watch list because I did add quite a few. Who did I add? I added Minte. Oh no, I didn't add quite a few. I added just one. Okay, yeah. All right, Brighton. Now, Brighton in preseason, I watched the last game in terms of the highlights for Brighton against Tokyo. Who did they play? Tokyo. I don't want to misspell the name. Tokyo Verdy. If you watch the highlights, and you guys can watch it by going to YouTube on the Brighton YouTube channel, you can look at like they have an 11-minute highlight package. Defensively, they don't look great. Now, Barco is the talk of the town because he's a 4 million defender who is starting, but I can't see them keeping any clean sheets in the opening three. So for me, not for me to be honest, as a pick, I'm not really too high on this as an option, just because the ability for clean sheets just isn't there. Like fixtures aren't great even in the opening 11. But something that Brighton have been doing quite a bit in preseason so far is scoring goals. And one player who looks really good, and you might not find it on the first page because Brighton have so many midfielders, so go to the second page, is Minte. Yankuba Minte. He's basically had 2 goals so far in preseason. Looked really nice, looked really good, active. If you watch the YouTube highlights as well, looked really active as well. Could be an option, to be honest. Could be an option, even though fixtures aren't good from a defensive point of view. Attacking point of view, it's not too bad. Everton, United, Brighton could get at them, and then Ipswich, Forest as well. So keep an eye out for this guy. I'm actually interested with him. 5.5 million as well. 2 goals in preseason so far. One to keep an eye out for. There are a few other Brighton players also who got 2 goals in preseason, but I am not fully sure if they will be starting players though. So yeah, Minte, keep an eye out. 2 goals in preseason so far. Let's move on to Chelsea. From Chelsea, I have Nkunku, Christopher Nkunku, as one of the players. He has basically got so far 2 goals in preseason. Chelsea defensively haven't looked the best. Attacking wise, though, seems like they're also like kind of struggling as a team. They're still looking like they're trying to find their system and find their identity. But Nkunku has been doing well in preseason, and the opening fixtures are good. Obviously, City in game week 1. City in game week 1, I don't mind it, to be honest. I think City will start slow, so I don't mind that as well. And then they have a good opening fixtures. I'm happy to have Nkunku in my team as well. He's one of the mentions. If you're looking for a Chelsea defender, Levi Colwill, 4.5 million. He's got the most minutes from the Chelsea defenders from the 2 games they have played. First game, he got 45 minutes, and the second game, he got 79 minutes. The rest of the defenders in Tosin, Wesley Fofana, even Reece James, you could go, but probably I wouldn't recommend. But yeah, Tosin and Wesley Fofana in terms of 4.5, they've got only 45 minutes each. But Levi Colwill has got the most in terms of a 4.5 defender for Chelsea. They will, well, the game hasn't added their new signing, goalkeeper signing. Once that's fully confirmed and he's added, expect him to come in potentially at 4.5. Hopefully, he improves Chelsea's defense. Right now, after their spanking against Celtic, I don't have any Chelsea defender. And I think it might be advisable to maybe potentially wait and see how the system gels for Chelsea, even though this fixture run looks good, because defensively they don't look solid at the moment. So yeah, few things I think that the whole team is trying to get to grips with the coach's uh, tactics. So that will take time to gel. Crystal Palace. Now, let's start with Crystal Palace. I've got Johnston as one of the watch lists. For anyone who's looking for a goalkeeper, Dean Henderson, obviously because of his minutes with England, not minutes, because he traveled with England for the Euros, he hasn't featured at all in preseason, and Sam Johnston has been the goalkeeper for both the 90-minute games for Crystal Palace. So I expect he will most likely be the goalkeeper who starts as well for Palace, to be honest. So if you're looking for a Palace keeper between Henderson and Sam Johnston, I would probably look at Sam Johnston for the moment. They got Wolves, Westham in the next couple games for preseason, so that should be a really good test as well to see. In terms of defense, I didn't have Anderson on the watch list, but if you're looking for a 4.5 defender, I prefer Anderson, to be honest. Munoz, if you want to spend that extra 0.5, isn't a bad shout, but he hasn't played any preseason games so far. So at the moment, I prefer Anderson. In midfield, Daichi Kamada. I mentioned this on the live stream yesterday. I mentioned this on the live stream yesterday. Daichi Kamada, 1 goal and 2 assists so far for Crystal Palace in preseason. He's played 90 minutes and 85 minutes. So expect him to potentially start with obviously Olise going to Bayern Munich. I do think Kamada will get into that role and take more minutes. They obviously battered Crawley Town, so just take that with a pinch of salt, like the goals and everything. But they have Wolves and West Ham next. So like I said, good test. We'll have a wait and look. And in terms of taking with a pinch of salt, the other player that I wanted to mention, Daichi Kamada, I like, to be honest, was Rakasaki, who's had 3 goals in preseason so far. Obviously, Eze is not in Crystal Palace's preseason, and as you can see, Rakasaki plays there in this right sided of the 2 10s. I do expect Daichi Kamada to play alongside Eze, is what I'm thinking. But you guys can let me know. Any Palace fans who's watching this, let me know who you think is gonna start the season. But Rakasaki, 3 goals, 4.5 million midfielder. If you wanted to keep an eye out for someone from Crystal Palace, 3 goals in preseason so far. And then the final one was, I had quite a few Crystal Palace players. Edward, who had 2 goals so far, if I'm not mistaken. Odison Edward, yeah, 2 goals. 1 goal and 2 assists. My bad. 1 goal and 2 assists so far. Obviously, Mateta is not available. He's gone for the Olympics. So because of that, Edward will most likely be the one who starts the season off. So I don't mind Edward as a starter. Obviously, once Mateta is back, then you're going to have slight minutes issues. So keep that in mind. But Edward, if you're looking for a short-term punt, would be one to kind of keep an eye out for. Now, moving on to Everton. I don't think I had any Everton players. No, I didn't. I didn't have a single Everton player. And the reason I didn't have any Everton players is because I wasn't too convinced with Everton in terms of who exactly is going to be the starting striker and whatnot. They do have Youssef Chermiti, who is a 5 million forward, who's got 2 goals and 2 assists so far in preseason. But I don't think he's going to be starting for Everton, to be honest. So that's the one thing, because Calvert-Lewin, Neil Maupay will start ahead of him. So that's why I didn't include him. And if you're looking for 4 million defenders, Michael Keane and Mason Holgate have been playing preseason games for Everton. But that's also because Jared Brantwaite and Tarkowski aren't available. So I don't expect Keane and Holgate to potentially start the season as well. So no one from Everton for the moment. Mikalenko also hasn't been featured in preseason. So I'm not looking at any Everton at the moment. Fulham. Right now, as things stand, I don't have Fulham players in my watch list. And that has nothing to do with the fact that they're not good players. It's just more that preseason games. I think they've only played one preseason game, if I'm not mistaken. Fulham. Trying to find this. Yeah, they've only played one preseason game against Watford. They're playing one against Benfica, which will be a pretty good test. And once that game is played, then I think we'll get a better picture in terms of Fulham. There are obviously Emil Smith Rowe is a new signing, most likely that Fulham are looking to wrap up. Let's see how that works as well. So at the moment, no Fulham players. Very high. Potentially, when we do this video next week, you might see a couple Fulham players. By then, they would have played Benfica, and also I think Sevilla are also planned as well for Fulham from the looks of it. Um, Benfica and Sevilla, yeah, in terms of preseason. So by next week, you might see two, maybe, potentially. We'll see, depending on how they perform in preseason. Ipswich. From Ipswich, I've added Ben Johnson. He's been one of the few Ipswich players in terms of defensively and a 4 million defender who's got a lot of minutes in preseason. He has got, let me get this up. So Ben Johnson has played, where is Ben Johnson? I'm looking at the wrong team. Okay, yeah, Ben Johnson has played 90 minutes and 80 minutes in preseason. So one to keep an eye out for in terms of if you're looking for a 4 million defender from Ipswich who's going to start. Obviously, Edmondson, Jacob Greaves, Wolfenden all have played 45 minutes each. So I'm not going to be able to like tell you exactly who will start. Most likely Jacob Greaves because a new signing. But Ben Johnson obviously has played more minutes. One to keep an eye out for. Another one that I think should be mentioned would be Leif Davis. Very attacking fullback from last season. So I think I should probably add him to the watch list. But yeah, hasn't done too much in preseason just yet. Anyone else from Ipswich? Nope, not at the moment. Next up is Leicester. Now, I did have a few Leicester players in this list. Starting with Madvididi. Madvididi. Yeah. Basically, he's got 2 goals in preseason. He's got 60 minutes, 64 minutes, and 71 minutes. Expect him to play. The only problem is Leicester's opening fixtures aren't great in terms of both clean sheets and goals, I would say. So that's one thing you might want to worry about. But from game week 5 onwards, he could be a player that you would want to have a look at. Plays on the left wing spot, as you can see. This they don't show me. Villarreal also they don't show me, unfortunately. But yeah, plays on the left wing spot. Maybe against Osberg and Lens will have better potentially maybe with like heat maps and whatnot. But yeah, Madvididi is 2 goals in preseason. Another one I wanted to mention defensively was James Justin. For anyone who's played FPL in the season that they won it, James Justin was a really good fullback in brief spells, and one that we all experienced FPL managers know what he's capable of. He's had 2 assists so far in preseason and also has played a good number of minutes as well in preseason, 60 minutes, 45, and then 79 minutes in the last game. So keep an eye out for James Justin as well. 4.5 million, but again, fixtures at the start not great, but going forward not too bad. Let's move over to, actually, having said that, in terms of goalkeepers, Danny Ward started for Leicester as a goalkeeper for the opening 2. He played 60, 90, and then 45. But Hermansen is back and he played the 45 minutes as well in the last game. So I expect him to take over now for the next couple preseason games. But we'll monitor that and see. I expect he will be the main Leicester goalkeeper. All right, let's move into Liverpool. I had only one player on my watch list, and that's Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai has had 1 goal so far. And the reason that I haven't added any other Liverpool player on my watch list is because there are just so many questions in terms of formation, lack of main players in preseason, too many questions in terms of midfield, what's going to happen, system, all of that, new manager. Yeah, too many questions, and I have gone. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait. I can't tell you guys anyone else who has not performed in preseason when this video is about preseason. So just Life at the moment. They have a couple good games coming up. Arsenal, United, and Sevilla in terms of preseason games. Maybe we'll learn a bit more in terms of at least formation that will help us to be able to predict maybe which players might play. Because obviously the opening fixtures are great. I just can't tell you exactly who's gonna play in that midfield. But yeah, uh, Szoboszlai only from Liverpool for the moment. Man City. Now, for Manchester City, obviously Haaland was in my watch list. Haaland has scored 2 goals so far. But someone who's been doing really well for Man City during preseason, during the lack of a certain Phil Foden, has been Oscar Bob. 5 million Oscar Bob, 1 goal, 3 assists so far. He's been playing on that Phil Foden role in terms of the right wing, as you can see, against Milan and Celtic as well. And he's been having a good preseason so far, to be honest. Obviously, they have Barcelona and City. I do think Oscar Bob will start against Chelsea. Now, obviously, we'll have the Community Shield, so we'll get more information as to how close City's first 11 will be in terms of game week 1. But if you're going to pick Oscar Bob, keep in mind it's a very, very short term punt. 2 game weeks, maybe at best. If you're lucky, you get a third game as well in terms of a start. After that, I do think Phil Foden will be back and he will take that spot. So, very short term punt, basically, in Oscar Bob. That's it from City for the moment. We'll see after a couple more preseason games who else kind of steps up. Let's move over to Man United. I had no one from Man United. Mainly because so far things haven't been fully gelling, and there have been injuries also happening now during preseason. So far, not looking great. Also, a lack of a lot of main players as well, again because of Euros. So, no one from Man United at the moment. Let's maybe next week, after a few more preseason games, you might have a few to mention. Let's move on to Newcastle. 2 players from Newcastle. One is Alexander Isak, who has got 2 goals so far in preseason. Good opening run, to be honest, in terms of fixtures. So he is definitely in there. Another player, obviously, a lot of people have been talking about Gordon, but someone who's been actually doing really well for Newcastle is Jacob Murphy during preseason. 2 goals and 2 assists at 5.5 million 5.5 million in a midfield spot. He's playing that right wing spot, as you can see, and doing pretty well for Newcastle as well. So keep an eye out for Jacob Murphy. Could actually be a better option if you want someone to start with. Let's say if obviously Gordon you don't think going to be fit enough to start at the start of the season, or you just want like a very cheap Newcastle midfielder at 5.5, I don't mind Jacob Murphy as a punt, to be honest. I think he will start. I think he'll play most of the games, and will play that right wing spot. Not a bad shot. So far, doing well in preseason. So let's move over from Newcastle to Nottingham Forest. Now, from Forest point of view, I've got Miguel on the watch list, just similar to. I'm not going to mention too many goalkeepers, but because these guys are like there are question marks over who's going to start. Miguel has played so far for Forest. He's played 85 minutes, 45 minutes. Didn't play the third game, and then played 45 minutes of the fourth game as goalkeeper. So he's so far played the most minutes as goalkeeper for Forest. I do expect him to start. They have a game against Villarreal and then I think Olympique Lyon, if I'm not mistaken, for the next 2 preseason games for Forest. So they should be a pretty good option. Actually, Miguel should be a pretty good option. Olympiacos, not Olympique Lyon. Sorry. So we'll get to know more in terms of who is their first choice goalkeeper. I do expect it to be him. But yeah, he is one that I wanted to mention. The other one I wanted to mention was Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's had 1 goal and 2 assists so far in preseason. Definitely one to kind of mention. Doing well, to be honest. Doing pretty well during preseason. So he is one. Anthony Elanga has obviously been playing that more attacking role with when Chris Wood is like Chris Wood missed the last game. So Elanga sometimes gets a striker role, but I prefer Hudson-Odoi at the moment over Anthony Elanga, just based off preseason form. Another player who should be mentioned is Ibrahim Sangare, who has had, he's not on my watch list, but has had 2 goals so far. Although I can't really tell you whether he starts or not, because Yates and Elliot Anderson have played in midfield. Sangare played in the game before that, and then it switched back again to, as you can see, Danilo and Dominic. So I'm not sure if he starts. So I just thought I'd mention because he got 2 goals, but I don't think he'll start. That's basically it. Moving on. Southampton. Now, Southampton have a couple players that are not yet in the game but are killing it in preseason. But let's talk about the players who are in the game. Let's start with Adam Armstrong. On my watch list right now, 5.5 million forward. He has got 2 goals in preseason so far. Hasn't played too many minutes, but we'll hope that he plays like a couple more minutes in the last 2 games for Southampton's preseason. But 2 goals in preseason. Another player who's been doing well, and I think this guy might be back up to Adam Armstrong. But again, 2 goals for Sekumara. He's actually got more minutes than Adam Armstrong at the moment. But I do expect him to be back up. Southampton fans, you can let me know if I'm mistaken in that. I do think he will be back up though. Sekumara for, yeah, as you can see here, when Adam Armstrong is not available. But yeah, one other player to mention. Now he was one. Another player that I wanted to mention was did I add him? Samuel Amo Ayu? I think. Oh no, not him. I didn't really want to mention. He's got 1 goal and 2 assists. But the player I wanted to mention, who is not in the game yet, is Tyler Diblin, the number 10. He's got 1 goal and 4 assists for Southampton. He's playing the number 10 spot, as you can see. So someone to keep an eye out for. Obviously not in the game at the moment. But if he does get added, will be interested to see what price tag he comes at. Maybe at max 5 million. He could actually be another option for anyone who's looking like like all of us are looking at like Morgan Rogers and whatnot. Maybe this guy, if he comes in as a midfielder at 5 million, he could actually be an option for that 5 million spot as well. 1 goal, 4 assists. Not in the game just yet. Now, next up, Spurs. For Spurs, I have got Brennan Johnson, who's got 1 goal and 1 assist so far. And I've got Dejan Kulusevski, who's got 2 assists and played the striker spot in the last preseason game for Spurs, obviously because Richarlison is not there. So Kulusevski played that striker spot. Will he continue to play this spot? Don't know, not really sure. But I still prefer Brennan Johnson slightly over Kulusevski. And I do like Heung-min Son, to be honest, this season over the 2 of them as well. But Kulusevski and Brennan Johnson for the moment in terms of preseason, in terms of how they've been doing. Just based off like returns. Pedro Porro got himself a goal in the last game. I think the opening 2 fixtures are good for Pedro Porro. After that, I don't know if they'll keep a clean sheet. So if you're someone who's doing a very early wildcard, maybe you could take a punt on the first 2 fixtures for Pedro Porro. But after that, clean sheet opportunities, I would say, are low. I won't be surprised if even Leicester score, to be honest. Spurs' defense hasn't been rock solid, as you may all know. But Pedro Porro still very attacking fullback. And then West Ham. Now, I don't have anyone from West Ham. And I think, not that they don't have good players, I think they're just trying to... They haven't adapted just yet to Lopetegui's system and whatnot. And preseason has been also a mixed bag in terms of form. So I'm not really interested in any West Ham players at the moment. Even the fixtures aren't the best, to be honest, at the start. So no West Ham players on this list. Wolves, Hwang Hee-chan. He has got 2 goals, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 2 goals so far in preseason. Opening fixtures, again, not great, to be honest, attacking wise. I probably wouldn't really go there. But if you wanted to, if you like him, yep, as a player, then okay, but I still wouldn't recommend. A 4 million defender who's been playing for Wolves so far in preseason is Mosquera. Now he has basically got so far 45 minutes, 60 minutes, and 63 minutes for Wolves in preseason. Played as a centre back in the last game for Wolves. They've been doing pretty decently. So they beat West Ham 3-1 in the last game. Obviously, as you can see, Mascara played centre back. And they've got games against Crystal Palace and Leipzig in the next two. So we'll maybe have a bit more information next week in terms of how Wolves are looking like. It seems like Matheus Cunha has picked up a knock as well, so might be not available for the next couple preseason games, but they're expecting him to be back, I think, before the start of the season. But yeah, that kind of it boosts Hwang Hee-chan's prospects as well in terms of like taking the striker role if needed as well, playing out of position. That's why I thought I would add Hwang Hee-chan to that list. But yeah, Hwang Hee-chan and Mascara. So yeah, that's basically it. If you've reached up to this point, thank you very much. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Quite a long video as well, I think. But that's basically it in terms of all the players that I wanted to mention. I think I've mentioned everyone. Yes, looks like, oh, I missed Harry Winks from Leicester. And the reason I missed Harry Winks is even though he's been playing as a 4.5, I don't really see any attacking opportunities, which is why I kind of missed him as well. But Harry Winks 4.5, I've seen him in a lot of drafts. It's just that I'm not fully certain if he'll get too many attacking opportunities. That's basically it. But minutes he will get. So yeah, that's it. If you reached up to this point, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you thought about this video and whether it helped you or not. And let me know if you have any players in your team that I mentioned. If you have any of those players in your team, let me know as well. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, and I will see you all later.